Hi everyone. This time I'm going to cover something with respect to applying, dropping some rows or columns based on three different, that is one drop parameter, dot pop parameter, as well as del operator. Okay, let's see that how things are happening there. And here, let me look at my data. Name is data. So let me print the headings. I just read it again. So I just want to replace with respect to two rows, or I just don't want to replace, rather I just want to drop it. Let me look at how we can drop it. Okay, I just want to drop these as well as Ambassador Classic 1500 and Ambassador Classic got two entries. Let's see what happens if there are two entries here. What I do, I just use a method called as drop, and here in this drop I'll just simply list two rows here. So the rows are, one is RD. Let me do one thing, let me add that here, and I'll mention Ambassador Classic as well. Let's see so what is going to happen there. And see, I just put it here is equal to axis. I just need to mention axis equal to 0. Let's see that what is going to happen here. So it's got dropped. So here both Ambassador Classic, in my case previously it was there, both got dropped. Or I can also apply here, I can say rows, it also works equally well. Or I can say here index as well. And let's see index is working or not. Yes, it's working. All the three are working equally well. Let me do one thing. Here in this case, I just say in place is equal to true, so that permanently getting dropped from my data. And so here, if you see my data here, so data dot head, I just simply see. So these two will not be there in the data because it got dropped already, and that's the reason. So uh, because this RDI got dropped, okay, so that is not there. Okay, as well as Ambassador Classic, this 1500 diesel AC, and that also got dropped. Okay, so let me do one thing here. Let me drop some columns as well and see whether columns dropping is working or not. So what I do, I just use the same drop here. So this time what I'm trying to do here, this time just going to mention, I just want to drop year and selling price. Let's assume that I just want to mention year, and let me put it in quotations here. So here you can mention, and let me do one thing. So I'll mention year. I just mentioned selling price. I just want to drop it, and let me complete the bracket. I'll just mention axis is equal to, here I just mention columns or implies is equal to true, so that it get replace my original data. And let's see whether it's working or not. Yes, after that, if you want to check it, actually you can see data.head, you'll be able to see the data, and so that you can see that it got dropped. Okay, so for the sake of understanding, so if you see here, I just got dropped my year as well as selling price. Okay, let me look at how this pop operator works. Okay, so pop operator, so let me do one thing, and let me use, I have the data dot pop, and I just mention one particular column. It's a permanent operator. Let's assume I just want to apply the owner. Okay, so let's see. I apply owner, and let's see what happens here. And this is what, okay, fine. So let me do one thing. This is, it is actually providing the CDs because it's trying to drop the CDs. Let me save it. Okay, let me look at data one is equal to, uh, so it's repeating the point because it's already dropped. That's the reason it's showing that way. Okay, in this case, let me look at transmission after that and save it as what, owner. And let me look at transmission C, and let me see data one and dot head. You'll be able to see that whether dropping has been applied or not. So look at here. So it actually save the data which got dropped. Okay, so the pop function which you'll be able to see, and so that we'll be able to understand. Let me read the data once again, and apply the pop function for list of columns and see. So I read the data once again, and my data is data dot head. And look at here. Yes, I have these columns here. Let me apply the pop function again here. And let me look at data dot, or let's assume my data is equal to um, data dot pop. Right, let me start that method, and I just mentioned here your list of columns. Let's assume I have year, I have selling price, right? So let me look at here and selling price and see what happens here. And so here and selling price. When you're looking at pop operator for multiple cells, it's not working in this case. But if you try for single series, because it's expected to have single series here, if you try for single series, for example, I have a series here, and let's try with a single series and see. If you see in terms of single series, it is working. And after that, if you see my data dot head, if you see here, you will be look at here. So I have saved my data, and my data I have saved something like data dot pop here, that you can see here name of that particular column has been mentioned. Afterwards, if you see your data dot head, you will see whether that column is there or not. So if you look at that, the column has been dropped. Is it? There is another way of working. For example, whenever we have data, if you put a square bracket, or if you mention a particular column like selling price, let's assume you have selling price. So if you see, that column details will be mentioned here, right? So instead, this case, if I say the function DL, okay, so if I mention DL selling price, just see that afterwards you see. So what happens here? So simply say data dot head. You see here, so that column also got dropped. There is another way. This is primarily for deleting a specific series from the data. So what is happening if you apply this function also, it's getting it actually delete your columns or series from your original data, and keep that data without that particular series. Okay, same is the case with respect to pop. Okay, so when you apply pop and I just say my data will print that deleted column details, and as well as, so that you'll be able to get it here. Okay, I believe you have understood how we work with three different functions here, right? One is I just mentioned the first one. I just mentioned drop function. I can mention both columns as well as rows, and in case of rows, you need to mention here, since I actually deleted, I dropped, here I just mentioned axis is equal to index, or as equal to rows, or axis is equal to 0 4 in case of deleting rows. And in place true will help us in terms of replacing with respect to your original data. And in case of dropping one particular column, you can apply axis column. You can mention the column details. If you have a list of columns, you can mention here, or you can apply pop function. It will actually permanently delete from your original data with respect to a particular series. Similarly, you can also apply DL. I have applied here. So DL of data and series name here. Okay, so this is a way in which we work with actually deleting or dropping columns or rows from your data using these three different operators. Okay, that's it.